Cortisol, Things You Should Know, Questions and Answers, by Rumi Michael Lee. Introduction. I would like to thank and congratulate you for listening to this book, Cortisol, Things You Should Know, Questions and Answers. This book will help you understand, revise, and have a good general knowledge and keywords of cortisol and its effect on the body. Part 1. 1. Is cortisol a hormone? Yes, cortisol is a hormone. 2. What kind of hormone is cortisol? Cortisol is a steroid hormone. 3. What organ makes cortisol? Cortisol is made by the adrenal glands. 4. Where are the adrenal glands located? The adrenal glands are located at the top of the kidneys. 5. What are endocrine glands? Endocrine glands are glands that secrete hormones into the bloodstream. 6. What are the main parts of the body that control the secretion of cortisol? The main parts of the body that control the secretion of cortisol are the hypothalamus, the pituitary gland, and the adrenal gland. 7. Where is the hypothalamus located? The hypothalamus is located in the brain. 8. Where is the pituitary gland located? The pituitary gland is located in the brain. 9. The pituitary gland is also called. The pituitary gland is also called the hypophysis. 10. Is the pituitary gland an endocrine gland or an exocrine gland? The pituitary gland is an endocrine gland. Part 2. 1. What is the function of cortisol? Cortisol helps the body to reduce inflammation, increase blood sugar, regulates sleep cycle, regulates blood pressure, regulates the use of carbohydrates, proteins, and fats. It also increases energy and controls stress, etc. 2. Cortisol is a class of hormones known as? Cortisol is a class of hormones known as glucocorticoids. 3. Cortisol is fabricated from? Cortisol is fabricated from cholesterol. 4. What is the primary stress hormone of the body? Cortisol is the primary stress hormone of the body. 5. Do most cells in the body have cortisol receptors? Yes, most cells in the body have cortisol receptors. 6. Are cortisol levels usually higher in the morning or in the evening? Cortisol levels are usually higher in the morning. 7. Is cortisol bad for the body? No, cortisol is not bad for the body. 8. Can the body produce excess cortisol? Yes, the body can produce excess cortisol. 9. Can the body produce insufficient cortisol? Yes, the body can produce insufficient cortisol. 10. What happens to the body if cortisol levels stay high for a long time? If cortisol levels stay high for a long time, it can lead to anxiety, heart disease, difficulty sleeping, depression, etc. Part 3. 1. What is Cushing syndrome? Cushing syndrome is a condition where the body makes too much cortisol. 2. What is Addison's disease? Addison's disease is a condition where the body makes too little or insufficient amounts of cortisol. 3. Can cortisol levels be managed? Yes, cortisol levels can be managed. 4. How can cortisol levels be managed? Cortisol levels can be managed with lifestyle changes, better stress management, anti-inflammatory diet, diminution of alcohol, rest, better sleep, regular exercises, etc. 5. What does cortisol do to the immune system? Cortisol decreases the function of the immune system. 6. What does cortisol do to the digestive system? Cortisol decreases the function of the digestive system. 7. What does cortisol do to the respiratory rate? Cortisol increases the respiratory rate. 8. What does cortisol do to insulin during chronic stress? Cortisol blocks the use of insulin during chronic stress. 9. What does cortisol do to wound healing during chronic stress? Cortisol can inhibit wound healing. 10. What does cortisol do to proteins? Cortisol breaks down proteins into amino acids that then transform to glucose. Part 4. 1. Does cortisol cause lipolysis? Yes, cortisol causes lipolysis. 2. What is lipolysis? Lipolysis is the breaking down of fats. 3. What does cortisol do to the liver? Cortisol causes gluconeogenesis and glycogenolysis. 4. What is gluconeogenesis? Gluconeogenesis is the formation or creation of new glucose. 5. What is glycogenolysis? Glycogenolysis is the breakdown of glycogen. 6. What is glycogenesis? Glycogenesis is the formation of glycogen from glucose. 7. What is the function of insulin? Insulin regulates blood sugar. 8. What organ produces insulin? The pancreas produces insulin. 9. Does high cortisol levels increase insulin resistance? Yes, high cortisol levels increase insulin resistance. 10. Can high levels of cortisol lead to belly fat? Yes, high levels of cortisol can lead to belly fat. Part 5. 1. What happens to the production of hormones with age? The production of hormones decreases with age. 2. Can high levels of cortisol for a long period of time lead to weight gain? Yes, high levels of cortisol for a long period of time can lead to weight gain. 3. Can high levels of cortisol for a long period of time lead to osteoporosis? Yes, high levels of cortisol for a long period of time can lead to osteoporosis. 4. What is osteoporosis? Osteoporosis is the abnormal diminution of bone density. 5. Can high cortisol for a long period of time affect memory? Yes, high cortisol for a long period of time can affect memory. 6. Does cortisol cause vasoconstriction or vasodilation? Cortisol causes vasoconstriction. 7. Does cortisol inhibit histamines? Yes, cortisol inhibits histamines. 8. What is the function of histamines? Histamines cause the symptoms of allergic reactions. 9. Does cortisol inhibit interleukins? Yes, cortisol inhibits interleukins. 10. What are interleukins? Interleukins are proteins. They are part of the immune system and allow communication between the cells in the body. Part 6. 1. Does cortisol inhibit prostaglandins? Yes, cortisol inhibits prostaglandins. 2. What are prostaglandins? Prostaglandins are hormones. They are a group of lipids. They play an important role during inflammation and also during reproduction. 3. What is the link between high cortisol levels and testosterone? High cortisol levels decrease testosterone. 4. What is the link between cortisol levels and estrogen? High estrogen levels increase cortisol levels. 5. Can high cortisol levels lead to anxiety? Yes, high cortisol levels can lead to anxiety. 6. Can pain lead to an increase in cortisol? Yes, pain, especially when not well managed for a long time, can lead to an increase in cortisol. 7. What is the link between endorphins and cortisol? In a short-term period, there is an increase in endorphins in proportion to cortisol. 8. What are endorphins? Endorphins are peptide hormones that have analgesic effects. 9. What is the link between serotonin and cortisol? Cortisol suppresses serotonin. 10. What is serotonin? Serotonin is a neurotransmitter and helps to maintain a steady mood. Part 7. 1. What does stress do to the immune system? Stress depresses the immune system. 2. What is the function of the immune system? The immune system protects the body against foreign invaders. The immune system fights against pathogens. 3. What are some examples of pathogens that the immune system fights against? Some examples of pathogens that the immune system fights against are virus, bacteria, fungi, etc. 4. Could high cortisol levels lead to infection? Yes, high cortisol levels could lead to infection. 5. Why can high cortisol levels lead to infection? High cortisol levels can lead to infection because the immune system is suppressed. 6. Does high-level cortisol increase or decrease appetite? High-level cortisol increases appetite. 7. Does dehydration increase cortisol levels? Yes, dehydration increases cortisol levels. 8. What is corticotropin-releasing hormone? Corticotropin-releasing hormone is a peptide hormone that is secreted in response to stress. 9. What is the effect of low cortisol to CRH, corticotropin-releasing hormone? Low cortisol increases the release of CRH, corticotropin-releasing hormone. 10. Is adrenaline a stress hormone? Yes, adrenaline is a stress hormone. Part 8. 1. What is the action of cortisol on the hypothalamus? Cortisol causes a negative feedback on the hypothalamus. 2. What is the effect of the negative feedback on the hypothalamus caused by cortisol? The effect of the negative feedback on the hypothalamus caused by cortisol is the decrease of corticotropin-releasing hormone. 3. What does high cortisol levels inhibit the anterior pituitary gland from releasing? High cortisol levels inhibit the anterior pituitary gland from releasing ACTH. 4. What is another name for the pituitary gland? Another name for the pituitary gland is the hypophysis. 5. What is the acronym ACTH? The acronym ACTH is adrenocorticopic hormone. 6. What is the function of ACTH? ACTH stimulates the formation of cortisol. 7. What is the effect of low cortisol on ACTH? Low cortisol increases the release of ACTH. 8. What is the link between acetylcholine and cortisol? Acetylcholine activates the secretion of cortisol. 9. What is the link between GABA and cortisol? When cortisol increases, GABA decreases. 10. What is the function of GABA? GABA is a neurotransmitter that has inhibitory effects in the central nervous system. Part 9. 1. What is steroidogenesis? Steroidogenesis is the production of steroids from cholesterol. 2. What is the function of steroids in the body? Steroids help to reduce inflammation in the body. 3. Does cortisol help with memory formation? Yes, cortisol helps with memory formation. 4. Can good sleep reduce high cortisol levels? Yes, good and sufficient sleep can reduce high cortisol levels. 5. What is the link between sleep and growth hormone? Sleep increases growth hormone. 6. What is the link between growth hormone and cortisol? Growth hormone hinders cortisol. 7. Do stimulants increase cortisol levels? Yes, stimulants increase cortisol levels. 8. Give examples of two common stimulants. Two common stimulants are caffeine and nicotine. 9. Can malnutrition lead to an imbalance in cortisol levels? Yes, malnutrition can lead to an imbalance in cortisol levels. 10. What are some ways to test cortisol levels? Cortisol levels can be tested by saliva test, blood test, and urine test. Part 10. 1. What are food that can reduce high cortisol levels? Foods such as probiotics, prebiotics, black tea, green tea, dark chocolate, and whole fruits can reduce high cortisol levels. 2. What are probiotics? Probiotics are substances that contain healthy bacteria. 3. What are prebiotics? Prebiotics are foods that aid the activity of the good and healthy bacteria in the gut. 4. What are some examples of prebiotics? Some examples of prebiotics are bananas, garlic, onions, berries, asparagus, etc. 5. What is fermentation? Fermentation is a chemical process of breaking down molecules by microorganisms. 6. What are some examples of microorganisms used for fermentation? Yeast and bacteria are examples of microorganisms used for fermentation. Conclusion. Thank you again for listening to this book. I hope it has helped you in your journey to understanding cortisol and its effect on the body.